Okay, back again with section 3.1, simple interest. And there's 4 parts to this video. We'll do a brief introduction of what simple interest is and problems 1, 3, 9, and 11, and working with formulas, 17, 19, all these problems, and then some word problems. These are the problems assigned in the book, and then finally T-bills, problems 53, 54, 55, 56. So again, these videos are supposed to be tied to problems in the book, so if you can do the problems in the book, you should be able to do the problems in the book after having watched the video a little bit. So what's simple interest? So the interest rate on the loan, it's a percentage of the loan that has to be paid back, adjusted for time. So basically, if you have a 10% interest on a loan, 10% of the loan you have to pay back as interest. So if you borrow $100 at 10% per year, after a year you have to pay back $10, that's the interest, plus $100, because that's what you borrowed. If you borrow $100 at 10% interest for 6 months, then the interest is only $5, because it's 10% for the whole year. That would be 10%, but that would be $10, but over half a year you only have to pay half the interest, so $5. So interest then is the principal times interest rate times how long you borrowed it for, and time is always in years. So how much do you have to pay back? Well, the principal, however much you borrowed, plus whatever the interest was. And so you can rewrite this. The amount you have to pay back, A, is the principal plus the interest, or the principal times 1 plus RT. So 2 notes. Interest rates are always decimals. So 5.75%. That's the decimal point 0575. And time, as I said, in years. So how is years broken up? Well, 1 year equals 52 weeks, equals 12 months. We assume that 30 days equals 1 month. Right, with that assumption though, we'd have 1 year is 360 days, right? 12 months times 30 days a month. We can use either one. 1 year is 360 days, or 1 year is 365. The book does 360 for a bunch of problems, but either one is fine. So anyway, the first set of problems, right, 1, 3, 9, and 11, are essentially dealing with decimals and conversion and time, so these are pretty straightforward. The next batch of problems, 17 through 29, those problems are about working with particular formulas. They're very much like this. If A is 250, P is 100, and R is 7%, what is T? Well, the formula that we have that involves A, P, R, and T is this. So this is one way to do it. What are my variables? I always like to write down my variables in a little column here like this. What do I know? This is 250. This P is 100, R is 0.07, has to be decimal, T, question mark, I don't know what that is. So 250 equals 100 times 1 plus 0.07T. If I distribute the 100, I get 100 plus 7T, or 150 equals 7T. And so finally, T is 150 over 7. 21.43. About. You can usually do about 2 decimals. That works. Okay, so if you borrowed $100 and paid back $250 with 7% interest rate, you paid back 21.43 years later. You can also say, well, A minus P equals interest, so 250 minus 100 equals 150. That's the interest. And interest is P times R times T. We'll say that. So if 150 is the interest, equals the principal times the rate times the time. And 150 equals 7t. That's this equation. So you can think of it in two different ways there. Okay, so the formulas are pretty straightforward. There's always four variables, right? A, P, R, and T, or I, P, R, and T. They give you three of them, you plug them in, you find out what the fourth one is. Word problems run exactly the same way, 41, 43. I don't think I needed to list 43 twice. 44, 45, 47, 49. So, $7,000 is loaned at 3.2% interest for 9 months. How much interest is earned? Interest. So we're dealing with I equals PRT. I equals PR and T. So I need to find out what these things are. $7,000 is loaned. That's the principal. 3.2 interest. Interest rates are always decimals, so 0.032. 9 months is 9 over 12. There's 12 months in a year, so 9/12 of a year, which is 0.75. 3/4. So 7,000 times 0.032 times 0.75. Well, we just multiply everything together. The interest is $168. And always make sure you put time into years and not leaving it in months. Okay, so another type of word problem. A loan of $4,000 was repaid at the end of 18 months with a check for $4,153. What was the interest rate? So you can either set this up as, this is like the first problem we did, A equals P1 plus RT, amount, principal, rate, and time. A, how much do you pay back? $4,153. Principal is $4,000. Rate is, we don't know what the rate, that's what we're looking for. Time is 18 months, so that's 18 over 12, which is 1.5 years. Great, so we know everything except R. So we can plug everything in. 4153 equals 4,000 times 1 plus R, which is unknown, times 1.5. That's time. 4153 equals 4,000 plus 4,000 times 1.5, which is 6,000. R. Subtract 4,000 from each side, divide by 6,000, and you get the interest rate. And the interest rate is 0.0255. Well, that's R, right? If you, oops, didn't want to do that. If you actually calculate that, that's not the rate because the rate is usually a percentage. So we say 2.55%. Move the decimal over 2 to get percentage from decimal. Have to be able to convert the two. Okay, so these are also pretty straightforward. The word problems, because again, they're all, here's an equation, we give you 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 numbers, find the fourth one. Oh, you can also do this one, incidentally. Note, the interest is 4153 minus 153, minus 4,000. So our interest is 153. The amount you pay back minus the amount you borrowed, that's interest. That's our 153. So this should be equal to PRT, which is 4,000 times R times 1.5. That's my 6,000 R. So we get the same R either way. Okay, finally, T-bills. And what's a T-bill? T-bills are interesting things. This is a contract for the government. If you buy a $1,000 13-week T-bill now, you cash it in for $1,000 in 13 weeks. So a $1,000 13-week T-bill, these things are sold at auction, and they're promises by the government that they'll pay you back this much money in 13 weeks. And there's various lengths of time you can buy them for. So, $1,000 13-week T-bill, you can cash it out in 13 weeks for $1,000. How much would you pay for that? Well, less than $1,000, right? T-bills serve as an indication of interest rates and how much interest people expect to make on investments. These are very safe investments. You definitely know that you're going to make this money back. If you think you can make more money somewhere else, you would, right? So if there's lots of opportunities for high returns out there in the economy, then the price for T-bills will actually be pretty low because there won't be a whole demand. On the other hand, if people are kind of scared, they don't think there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the economy, the prices for T-bill will be pretty high. So right now, if you go look it up, a 13-week T-bill currently has a $1,000 13-week T-bills that should be announced currently have an interest rate of 0.01%. If you buy one now, how much would it cost? So, what's a T-bill? A equals P1 plus RT. So, what they're saying then is, in 13 weeks, the government will pay you back. That's $1,000. 13 out of 52 weeks, that's a fourth of a year, or 0.25. We don't know what this is, but they're telling us that the interest rate is 0.01, which means R is actually 0.001. So the rate of return of this is 0.001. So how much would you pay for that if this is the rate of return you get? Well, you plug everything in. 1,000 equals P1 plus 0.0001 times 0.25, right, because it's a fourth of a year, that's the rate, or 1,000 equals P times 0.01, 0.000025, and you divide it out. I think I have the right number of O's, zeros there. And you divide it out, and you get P equals 999.975. And so that's the current price. And so they sell these things at auction, right? And this is what people are currently paying for a 13-week T-bill. And it suggests to me that the economy isn't doing super great, but, you know, I'm not an economist. You should go and talk to your economics professors about how T-bills work. But T-bills are simple interest. You pay a certain amount now, you get a fixed amount in the future, and the amount you pay determines what the interest rate is. Okay.